Clementine is a Rwandese woman now living in Pietermaritzburg. Her journey here was a dark one. It began in Rwanda in 1994. This is Clementine's story.
My mom had 8 children, another wife had 11 children, another one had 4 children. So altogether we were 23 children. And my father was proud of that. This is my mom. The time I left her, she was 47. Now she's almost 63.
Rwanda, 1994. The rising tension between the Hutu and Tutsi tribes broke out after the assassination of the Rwandan president on April the 6th, 1994. Over 800,000 people were killed in 100 days.
The time I was in high school. It was in 1994 when the war broke out in Rwanda after our president Habyarimana Juvenal to be killed in the crash of aeroplane, and the genocide was starting the same night and started killing people.
This is the southeastern Roman Catholic mission of Nyarupwe. It was once a flourishing community housing a basilica, a school, a clinic, and houses. But one day, a few weeks ago, militiamen entered the mission and butchered an estimated 3,000 to 5,000 people.
As the soldiers went on the rampage, families living in the vicinity of Nyarubwe fled to the mission to seek refuge. In some cases, bodies
My father was Hutu, my mother was Tutsi. So they want to kill my mother. So all children, we were saved because our father is Hutu. But even if you look like Tutsi, they used to kill you. My biggest fear, because it was, since I was born, I never see the people are killed at that time. So I was so scared and I was so traumatized to see how people are dying like animals. So that was my fear. So I was thinking maybe even in 5 minutes also I can be killed.
Clementine's father was able to keep his family alive by paying bribes. When the money ran out, he gave away their belongings. At the end, they had nothing. Their house was empty. Forced to move, they made their way to rural Rwanda.
So the time it was now a problem of getting food because all stock were empty and there were no market. In town there's no farm where you can get some crops to eat, some food to eat. So my father was supposed to take us in township at another province where our grandfather were staying. So they were staying in Kibuye province. So we moved from Kigali and we went to that another province. My mother didn't want to come with us because she was very traumatized, because they used to kill the people and they throw in the river where we passed when it was going from Kigali. So she's scared to pass at that place, maybe thinking also she will be killed and thrown in that river, which was bloody. So all water in the river was bloody. So she was scared to come with us, and we stayed there with our stepmother and my relatives, and my father was coming back to see my mother. So he was going to see the children, see the wife, like that. The time we get at Kibuye, there was finished to kill the Tutsis, and it was a bad smell that time at that province, because it's where they break down the church where the Tutsis were, and so that smell of blood was still fresh. I still remember, it's about 15 years since I left her, but I still remember the last word she said, and where she was outside on the window, and she said that you are going, bye-bye, you will find me dead. So, but I still remember that word. But I'm so glad because she's still alive. Yeah.
In the capital city, Kigali, many people were shot and killed. In the rural parts of the country, machetes were the weapon of choice to eradicate Tutsis and Hutu moderates, all in the name of Hutu power.
So the time the rebels was catching the capital city, my father came back, and my mother didn't want also to leave. So we came. My father came to take the children, his family, so that we can flee to Congo.
Clementine and her family made their way with thousands of other refugees to Goma, Zaire. From the 13th to the 14th of July 1994, it was said that 10 to 12,000 refugees crossed the border to Goma every hour. One of the greatest mass migrations of human beings.
Kitali camp in Goma, Zaire. One of 3 refugee camps that has become home to more than 1 million sick, starving and desperate Rwandan refugees. For the thousands upon thousands of refugees, hunger and disease have taken up where genocide and the bloody civil war left off. Life in Goma has become a struggle for survival.
So at Congo, when we reached there, my father had nothing, so he was just down. So we start to live the refugee life, which is not easy. So he was in refugee camp, and in the refugee camp was very, very terrible. There were no toilet, there were no water, and the cholera started, this disease, cholera, so it killed many thousands of people. And from there we see the situation wasn't good, and we come up to Tanzania. After that time, it was in 1996, and in Tanzania also there was no security about foreigners, so we flew again to go back to Congo, because it was safe, because the time we reached there, we went to the church, and the church is where my husband was ministering, and is when I saw him the first time we went there, and we went to Tanzania and come back, so we was staying at his place. He had a church and he had Bible school. So at Bible school is where he put all refugees. He received the refugees from Rwanda and to give them the place to stay. Also, there was another fight in Congo with the government and the rebels. So at that time they killed his wife, and when we went back from Tanzania, we found he was with the only kids, and the church was telling him also he must get married, because it's not easy to minister at the church and you don't have a wife. So at that time I went to Bible school for 6 months, and after that, and he asked me if he can get married to me, he can marry me. And I was praying that, because I knew now God loves me, he protects us, and I want to get married to someone who knows God and who loves God and who will help me spiritually. So I was thinking maybe that was plan of God, because he helped me a lot. The time the rebels knew that Eugene was married to a Rwandese, and Eugene was starting to preach the message about reconciliation. So they said because he's talking about reconciliation because he get married to a Rwandese woman. So they were against of that message. So they started to search him that he may be killed. So he knew from his friend, one of his friend, he was hearing those people talking about that to come and kill him and arrest him. So from that, his friend is when he advised him to flee from that place, at least to go to another place.
Clementine was told that Eugene had escaped to Kinshasa and hoped to settle there with his family. Clementine knew that the government was still searching for him so that he could be arrested and put to death. She decided to search for him herself, so she and her young daughter went to Kinshasa on the start of an unexpectedly long journey.
So when we get there, we went to Baptist church, so we couldn't find him. They said because he wanted to be in a place where he can establish himself so he can come to correct his family. So we couldn't find him, and we carry on searching in whole Congo, and we couldn't find him. So we carry on. From Congo, I went to Tanzania. I crossed this river. So with the ship. I was having a small bag and they put on the bicycle, and the bicycle was going fast. Sometimes I can't know where they passed. So I was running behind the bicycle. I was pregnant with my baby, so it was very, very scary, and it was challenged. And that there was no water. There is a small river which is very muddy, and people used to drink that water, and you can see they just don't mind. And I went here to Goma. From Goma, I went by train to go to Dar es Salaam. Want to see Dar es Salaam? So from Tanzania, we come here to Malawi. And from Malawi, I came here to Mozambique. So I had my briefcase I went to sell it so that I can get money to take me from that province to go to capital city of Mozambique, in Maputo. So in that province, it was Tete province. And that man asking me, why are you selling this briefcase? I said, I got this problem and this and that. And he said, no, I can't buy this because it's very useful to you, and you are tired, so I will take you to my house and I will introduce you to my wife, and we will help you until you rest and you get enough strength to carry on to Maputo. And he helped me about 1 week, and from there he gave me another money to carry on to Mozambique.
Clementine was traveling without a passport, so was unable to use public transport a large part of the time. In Mozambique, she was forced to pass through an indigenous forest on a path used by thousands of refugees before her. She continued south.
And from Mozambique, I came to South Africa. I was thinking maybe if he's not in a refugee camp, he might be in church. So I was carried on to go from one country. If I don't find him, I'll go to another country until I came to South Africa. Yeah.
Clementine searched for a sign of Eugene's existence through Home Affairs departments and churches in each country she passed through. All she had with her was her toddler daughter and her unborn son. She lived off the grace of others and by her faith as she blindly made her way through Southeast Africa, It took just under 6 months to reach South Africa.
Sometimes I would think maybe he died because no communication, and I have been traveling whole Africa, and now I'm getting end of Africa, so sometimes I would think maybe if he's not, maybe he was killed, maybe if I don't find him end of this South Africa, which means he will be killed.
Clementine was on her way to Johannesburg, but she was told that a large Congolese population was said to exist in Pietermaritzburg. She wandered her way southwards and eventually arrived in Pietermaritzburg. It was November 2003.
So the time I reached here, I went to Durban first, but it was my objective was to go to Joburg because there is a lot of refugee. And the time I reached there, they said they searched the Home Affairs, they couldn't find his name. Some refugees told me that I must come to KwaZulu-Natal because also there is a lot of Congolese refugee. And I came back from Joburg to come here. When I get here, I meet some refugees who are working in Saroon. They used to cut hair, and they helped me to find the house because at that time I had that money. And we searched, we found a flat, and I stayed with some other people. And it was nearby Baptist Church. On Sunday, because we are from Baptist Church, on Sunday we went to the church. And I explained to my pastor. He said that, okay, we're going to help you. On Monday, we are going to Home Affairs at Durban to search if you can find him. And when they reached there, they searched, they found his name is on the list. So with his address, with the telephone number, where he stay, and they went to find him and tell the news, and it's how we meet.
Ni Zaburi ya Mfalme Daudi ambao alikuwa anashukuru Mungu kwa yote aliyomtendea katika maisha yake ya kifalme na jinsi alivyompigania na maadui zake. Alikuwa tajiri wa matajiri, alikuwa na security nzuri, lakini aliona mchungaji wake mwema ni Mungu wao Jehova.
Amen. I think maybe it was dreaming, so it was amazing because I was almost getting a baby. So I was tired. I was pregnant with the little one, so it was amazing to see him again. He couldn't believe that from country to another country, and we are coming to reunite in here, South Africa. So actually, it's not. Nobody can understand. It was just God was in it. God was in that issue. The time I received Jesus, it was through the song which they used to sing that you who still breathe, you must praise God, and you must. What did you give to be alive? Is because God had a plan in your life. So through that song, after genocide and after all this hardship in refugee camp, and is when I received Jesus. And that Jesus only gave me hope that my future, what I have passing through my past, it was preparing my future to be strong. I was looking how I was passing through all difficulties with the pregnancy and passing in scary places, and God protected me. So I said what I can name my son is just Emmanuel, God with us, because really God was with us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
I can say that if you don't have faith, you can't go so far, because faith is the first weapon in Christian journey. If you don't have faith, you will give up. If you don't have faith, you will feel that you are finished. If you face hardship, difficulties, and you don't have faith that Jesus is with you and is ready to help you, you will just give up and you will drop everything. But faith has been a big, strong weapon in my life, because even though I face difficulties, I know that Jesus is with me and he knows all about my challenges, my difficulties, and he's going to show himself, because he can do everything when you trust in him. And I believe that I will have a big testimony of what he has been doing in my life.